Hi, Ruth. It's really good to see you today. I'm wondering how you're feeling. I got your email about losing your job and all these people being let go. You must be really, really upset about that. I know how much your job meant to you.
Oh, yeah, look, it's fine. I mean, what can you do? No, no trouble, no drama. That's life.
Oh, okay. Ruth, I notice as you talk about this and in your response to this that there's just no feeling. There's no kind of connection to what's happened. And I do know that your job really is quite important to you and you actually love going to work.
Well, I mean, you say that, but I think we all just need to move on, don't we? Now, I could continue like this, but that's actually a detached protector mode that I've shifted into. And it's a pretty common mode. That's what we're talking about today on 7 Minute Schemas in our mode series. I'm Ruth Holt.
And I'm Rita Younan, clinical psychologist, and we're both advanced schema therapist supervisor trainers. And yes, we are talking about the mode model, particularly the avoidant coping modes at the moment, the detached protector being a very common one.
Yes, detached protector is, I think, almost a cultural mode sometimes, and certainly in Australia, perhaps England, some other countries, where people are not encouraged to share emotions, to express themselves. We're encouraged to have a stiff upper lip, perhaps, and really shut down those emotional responses. Or for some people, it can come about as a result of trauma, having been through very difficult life circumstances, really distressed, overwhelmed by what they were facing, in which case our body can shut down in a more automatic way.
Yeah, Ruth. So, kind of what you're talking about is that the detached protector, I guess, has different guises, doesn't it? On the one hand, I like to think about it on a little bit of a spectrum. On the one hand, you might have more of a rational, intellectual, kind of disconnected, maybe flat type of detached protector. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you'll have people who dissociate, disconnect, shut down, and just leave their bodies because that's a safer way to be. And the common denominator, really, with both of those different ways of going into a detached protector is to run away from the emotional distress that's inside. And when I use run away, I'm not suggesting that it's a choice. It can be a choice, but more that's something that has really served them well in not connecting with painful feelings, emotions, sensations in their body.
And that's a really important part of starting to understand detached protector, is starting to notice when it's happening, noticing when I laugh every time I get emotional, or when I start intellectualizing and coming up with lots of theories and getting up in my head, or when my body just starts to take over and shut down. Becoming aware of those early warning signs of detached protector and starting to understand where I learnt it. What did it keep me safe from?
You've already touched on the fact that sometimes it could do with, significant trauma early on and body's way of protecting the self from what's happening. The other way detached protectors can sometimes develop is being in an environment where there's either neglect, where people really aren't attending to your emotional needs, or perhaps you're being criticized for having emotional needs. So, neglect, misattunement, or criticism. And sometimes what that does is it shapes an emotional inhibition schema, which then fuels a detached protector, that it's safer not to connect with my emotions, good and bad.
That's right. So, we might have become praised for not being overwhelmed by feelings, or people around us might have thought that had it all together. It can almost look like healthy adult. We can look like that mode that we would like people to have more of, where they're able to understand what they're feeling and regulate their emotions and reach out in a healthy way. Sometimes detached protector can even look like that, but what I'm doing is blocking the emotions. So I'm not regulating them. I'm actually stuffing them down, avoiding them.
And so maybe it's worth kind of talking about, well, what does healthy adult look like versus detached protector for a start, and how it feels being on the receiving end of healthy adult versus detached protector, because there are a couple of clues.
That's a really good point. So certainly if you're in your healthy adult mode, you have a moment-to-moment awareness of your emotions and your needs. What are those flags going up, those emotional flags going up? What are they pointing to? Do I need connection? Do I need support? And then I can reach out and get those needs met. Whereas in detached protector, I'm not necessarily attuned to what I need or what I feel. And sometimes I'm more attuned to what other people would like to see of me.
And in that also is the range of emotion that's expressed, so just like, in the kind of little snippet of therapy that we did at the start of this, there was no emotion. Whereas that kind of gave me the clue that you're in detached protector, where if it was healthy adult, there'd probably be some emotion connected to what you were saying as well. So there's some giveaways.
Also, I think if you're trying to connect to someone, if you're in a relationship perhaps with someone who has a strong detached protector mode, you can really feel a bit of a wall going up between you. It's hard to get connected. And this is really one of the key things in changing and shifting out of detached protector is we want to understand where it came from, understand what it kept us safe from or how it helped us growing up, but then start to see that it perhaps has costs for us in our day-to-day lives, in our relationships. And certainly one of the costs is I don't let people in if I'm in my detached protector mode. So I can't feel connected because I can't be vulnerable. So vulnerability equals connection and intimacy. But if I'm not vulnerable, then I can't have that connection.
And it stops that felt sense in session as well, because if there isn't that vulnerability or that range of emotion that we're talking about, as a therapist being on the receiving end, what you find is you can't really kind of connect with what the individual's saying. You might actually feel bored and disengaged. So again, some kind of signs. But I guess one of the things that we need to remember is if we take away coping mode, we need to give them skills, because as someone reduces those type of defense mechanisms or ways of coping with overwhelming emotions, is I need to give you other strategies to be able to tolerate and sit with the discomfort of those feelings.
Yeah, so that's a great goal for therapy, to help people feel safe in the relationship, to start to express emotion and have skills to regulate that don't involve running from that emotion. Well, that's our 7 minutes, Rita, and we look forward to seeing people at training if they want to learn more deeper, more thorough techniques for working with that detached protector, and also next time when we look at some of the other modes.